Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:23 a.m. This is News and Views on Salam Media. And our next guest is an activist involved in Palestinian solidarity. She is Fazela Mahomed. Assalamu alaikum to you, Fazela. Welcome to the program. Nice to have you on the show.
Walaikum salam, and thank you for having me, and assalamu alaikum to all the listeners as well.
Thank you indeed. So, Fazila, tell us about your activism. Why are you so passionate about the Palestinian cause?
Well, for me, I have been an activist my whole life in the struggle in South Africa, and part of my consciousness around kind of human rights and the rights of all people in the world has been long with me. You know, since the 1980s, those of us who worked full time in the struggle, supported the Palestinian cause. And I think that it's really important. It's one of the most important um, post-colonial, not neo-colonial system that still exists in the world today. And with it, the level of brutality by the Israeli regime is something that inspires me to continue my work.
You indicate that you've been a struggle stalwart for a very, very long time. You understand what it is to be an activist. You understand what is going on in Palestine purely due to being exposed to the apartheid regime. When you make a comparison in this day and age, does it shock you to see just how brutal this genocide is and the fact that the rest of the Western world seems to be silent regarding this genocide being carried out on innocent men, women, and children?
Of course, the level of brutality of the Israeli regime is unprecedented. I think the whole world, not only us as activists, but every single human being stands shocked at the sheer brutality. I mean, there aren't words to describe the manner in which the Israeli regime is battering the people of Gaza at the moment. But it's not only Gaza. Every single day the settlers there displace people. There's there's displacement of people. There's basically, you can call it, it is a genocide right in front of our eyes. And I don't think any person who sees the footage can remain unmoved by what is happening. The sheer scale of it is just horrific.
The Palestinians are soon to become a displaced people, as the way I'm reading the situation. I truly hope that I'm wrong. We do know that there's the ICJ hearings that were held. We've got rulings around that. Currently, as you and I speak today, this week, there are going to be the issue around the public hearings on the legal consequences arising from the policies and practices of apartheid Israel in occupied Palestinian territories. Do you hold up much hope that we'll get a positive outcome from these hearings that are scheduled to start today at The Hague?
Well, look, these hearings are non-binding. So that's the first point, that actually it doesn't bind the Israeli government. But I think what more and more is happening over time is that we see, there has been resolutions in the United Nations for many years about the ending the occupation, and these have gone nowhere. It's the first time the Human Rights Organization in the UN um, has asked for a hearing and a ruling on this. So I think what we see now with South Africa's case to the ICJ and this particular matter, we see the beginning of the end of impunity. Israel pretty much did what it wanted all over. It ignored every single UN resolution. It is not a member of the, international law. I mean, it is a that we could take them on the genocide thing to court, but they're not signatories to the human rights conventions, etc. because they're well aware that they can be brought to book if they were signatories to those. So I think that it is a positive step. And it's a little, the vast majority of countries, it's the usual culprits, the Western countries, US and its allies, who block it. But I mean, even if you look when the UN passed the resolution in the General Assembly, the vast majority of countries approved it. And they say that it's, I mean, just reading about the case, what they're saying is that there's a large number of countries who will be making submissions in the hearings. 50 odd countries will be making submissions for the hearings. So I think that that is indeed a positive step, because whatever the governments say, the voices and the feet on the street speak louder. And this will give us more space to actually, confirm our initial thoughts that actually nothing until the occupation ends. The occupation allows Israel to continue with its brutality and its apartheid.
Okay, I want to read something to you from this statement, and I'd like your comments on it. Umar Awadallah, the head of the UN Organization's department in the Palestinian Foreign Ministry, has said, "We want to hear new words from the court." They've had to consider the word genocide in the South African case, he said, and referring to a separate case before the court, he goes on to say, and I quote, "Now we want them to consider the word apartheid." Do you think that that's going to make much of a difference? And do you think that
Well,
the one outweighs the other regarding the impact? Like genocide to me sounds really, really serious, with the most serious of repercussions, where to me apartheid sounds a little watered down, but I could be wrong.
Well, look, I think we shouldn't make comparisons. Genocide, as you say, is a very, very serious thing, and we see the tens of thousands of people every day, hundreds of people dying. I can't remember the statistic exactly, but every few minutes a child dies. So we must never downplay genocide. I think that's very important. But it's also important to say that in the everyday lives, beyond the war, those people in the West Bank, they are discriminated against. They are subject to a most brutal regime. And as you know, apartheid, South Africa, and during the struggle, we managed to say to the UN and to the world, and got a resolution accepted, that apartheid is a crime against humanity. So that's an important thing, because what they're doing in the everyday lives of people is a daily crime against everybody. I had the privilege to go to Israel, and I mean Palestine. And when I went there, the walls was something. I went into a checkpoint completely unaware, because I didn't understand. I went through this checkpoint. I was supposed to go from the West Bank into the Israeli side, right? And there were red lights flashing. But I mean, we don't know anything about that. So I just walked. The next thing, I was surrounded by these guys with young men with automatic weapons, saying that, "What are you doing here?" They were shouting to me in Arabic, and I said to them, "I don't understand. I speak English." And he just said to me, "Get out, get out." And then when I went out, I realized there was nobody else there. But when they allowed us back in, there was blood on the floor. And what it shows you is that when people are crossing every single day for work, it's the banality of evil. When things are so, the evil is so routine that actually it's frightening. So this is the everyday lived experience of every Palestinian. There are some roads that Palestinians can't drive on, right? And what happens is that we never had that in apartheid. It's 100 times worse. So I think that people don't understand. Recently, a friend of mine who's just come from Palestine was telling me about a family, the settlers. So in the West Bank, as we speak, the settlers are committing huge atrocities. We know that the Israeli government had deliberately armed these people, and they're trying to displace even more Palestinians. So it happens every single day. And that's why it's important to classify it on a kind of, even the normal, so called normal everyday experience is still a crime.
Okay, Fazila, we need to go for an ad break, but I have still very many questions that I need to put to you regarding these atrocities. Inshallah, please do stay with us.
Thank you, I will.
To Islamic relief.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Our brothers and sisters in Palestine are enduring unimaginable hardships. Ashraful Aid teams are on the ground, delivering crucial aid to those in need. But we can't do it alone. Palestine is suffering and they need your help. Your support can make a world of difference. Visit www.ashrafulaid.org today and donate to bring hope, relief, and healing to those who are in need.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Welcome back. It is exactly 8:34. This is News and Views with me, Julie Ali, on Salam Media. And our guest is Fazela Mahomed. She's an activist. She's also involved with the Palestinian Solidarity Organization. And of course, I have no doubt in my mind, with other activism groups all around in South Africa. We are talking about the Palestinian situation, and I truly do value the comments made by Fazila thus far. Welcome back, Fazila, and let's look at the issue regarding apartheid. And I do agree with you. When we see the Palestinian issue unfolding in front of our eyes, and when we cast our minds back to the years of apartheid, you are so right when you say it was nowhere nearly as brutal as what we're seeing playing out right now. And we just all we can do is to support the Palestinian people to the best of our ability. I'm also wondering about. I've read a report over the weekend that Egypt is preparing a very, very large area. They are clearing the area in preparation for Palestinian refugees to come and settle there. That was just not part of the deal. And I don't think the Palestinians will be happy about that. A while ago, it seemed as if the ulterior motive of the illegal occupiers was to push the Palestinians into the Sinai desert. They, in fact, promised them that it will give you shelter for the time being. Once we have gotten rid of Hamas, you'll be able to return to your homeland. And we know that that was just a trick and a lot of sweet speak from the Israelis. That was the intention, is not to let the Palestinians back into Palestine. They're trying to get rid of them. What do you suppose is now going to happen with Egypt now trying to assist to get the Palestinians? Maybe they're assisting the Israelis. Maybe there's a deal that has been cut to get the Palestinians to settle in these camps that they are preparing for them. I hope there's
Thank
going
you.
to be an outcry about it. I hope there's going to be an international outcry about the situation.
Yeah, I think this hearing actually comes at a very timeless period because actually you are right. All reports indicate that part of the reason for the mass displacement is, as you know, there's a huge amount of gas under Gaza. The Europeans will benefit immensely from the gas of Gaza, because if you, at the moment, because of the interruption of the Russian gas, they pay 4 times the cost of gas. And so they looking for it cheaper because of the distance between the US and Europe. But if it was in Gaza, it is around the corner for them, and they can then make use of this facility. But also, I mean, it is about stealing the land. I mean, that right-wing conference on the, on displacing people permanently. We know the Israeli regime's history. In the Nakba, they never allowed people to come back. And when you leave Gaza, their policy is an active policy of displacement. So we have no doubt that that is in fact their intent. We also know that right at the time when it was most critical, Egypt did not budge and allow aid to come through. We know that the Israelis blocked it, but they made no effort to, to aid and assist the people of Palestine. So Egypt has long been complicit in the abuse of human rights of Palestinians. They have long been complicit. They generally, and that's why I'm saying, the everyday lives of Palestinians are so hard. In Gaza, there's all this arbitrary rules around what is allowed in. And apparently, you see these reports where they say that the Israelis have determined just the amount of food to prevent starvation, but not to give a person 1 ounce of extra food. And that is so appalling and calculating. In fact, when I went to Sachsenhausen in Germany, one of the appalling things that the Nazis did was, I saw this list and I was very moved by it. That what they did is they took each human being before they gassed them, and they costed the cost of this human life. And they said, okay, we got a gold tooth, we got, I don't know, whatever, diamond in the guy's shoe, or whatever the case may be. And this is how much it cost us to feed him. This is how much labor he did. And at the end of the day, when we kill him, we made a profit. And in the same kind of calculating way, the Israelis will starve the Gazans. And for me, that is one of the most appalling things that I ever saw. You try to systematically starve people, but just a little so that they suffer slowly. And I think, we can't not be outraged at this. And as you say, it's a policy of displacement. They're pushing people to Egypt. They're hoping to push people to Egypt. We know that Egypt receives huge sums of money from the United States. So, to co-opt them. And I think that because of this, we need to ensure that we make our voices. The people of the world have shown that ordinary people matter and our voices matter. And we need to go out and support the solidarity efforts. We need to do much, much more to make sure that this plan becomes unhinged. You see, on the one hand, the US and its allies, Western allies, speak of, oh, please stop, make the ceasefire happen, etc. But at the same time, they allow it to continue. They supply arms, and the only voice the Palestinian has is our voices lending support through our solidarity.
We also have the situation. Of obviously the issue around. I've just lost my train of thought. I do beg your pardon. Let's look at this. Since the beginning of the war in the Gaza Strip, Israeli police have restricted Palestinian Muslims access to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, particularly on Fridays. And of course, we're trying there to restrict the crowds, because anything can happen in a very crowded area. Now we're hearing that Tel Aviv has approved restricting the entry of Palestinians living in Israel and Jerusalem to the Al-Aqsa Mosque during the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, which is just literally around the corner. And obviously, locals, the Palestinians, are outraged by this, as are we here in South Africa, because we know just how close we hold Aqsa to our heart and how sacred the month of Ramadan is to us, and the meaning of performing our salahs in Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Yeah. I had the pleasure to go to Al-Aqsa, and it's a very unique experience, but also to just say that it's just appalling. You see, this is where we say, the everyday life and the discrimination that Palestinians face. And it's not, there's a bigger plan. The bigger plan is to annex Jerusalem for the Jewish state. That's the big plan. So by limiting and restricting and hoping to discourage people, but that's not how it works. We in South Africa know that the more the apartheid regime tried to restrict us, the greater our effort was to resist. And I think the same will happen in Palestine. People are not going to stop going to the mosque, but this is where they make a strategic mistake. They don't understand the steadfastness of Palestinians. The Palestinians are resolute in their fight for freedom, and they will go to the mosque, and there will be clashes, and unfortunately there will be injuries and deaths. But somehow, it's such a blatant uh, violation of every human right that a person can have: the right for freedom of association, the right for religion, your right to practice your religion as you deem fit, and also to respect the heritage of the Muslim community, because Al-Aqsa not only represents a mosque, but it's the heritage of an Islamic heritage site. And I think that by blocking that, the Israelis want to negate the claim to Al-Aqsa and to try and annex Jerusalem, which is also a matter which we need. That's why we need an urgent resolution. That's why this hearings on the occupation will shed light on how they are systematically trying to remove people.
Fazela, I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts. There's a lot of disruption there, but okay. The illegal occupiers claim that they were the chosen people of God and they were promised this land. Palestine is their land, they're the chosen people of God. Um, I'm kind of wondering if any of our scholars have ever studied or looked into that claim of this promise of the chosen people to the land of Palestine. They're also laying a huge claim on Al-Aqsa Mosque because they believe that if they destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque and rebuild their temple there, their Messiah will come to rescue them. I'm kind of wondering how much of that narrative plays on the emotions of the global community. And is it fair for them to use? That's really emotional blackmail, is it not?
Yes, well, look, that the first of all, the Israelis are masters at misleading propaganda, you know. And we know, in South Africa, the old apartheid regime also said they were God's chosen people. They brought Christianity, and they were the ones who actually civilized people here, so called. And so the thing is, it's the same mindset of superiority and discrimination. That's why people call it apartheid Israel. And that's why it's an important definition, this notion of an apartheid state. Um,
Okay,
so,
hold that thought. I think you've been interrupted. Let's go for our next ad break. We'll be back with you in a minute or two.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Shimmer, sparkle, Captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
The people of Palestine need your support now. Africa Muslims Agency is on the ground, already providing food, medication, and emergency supplies in Gaza. Donate any amount to Heal Palestine at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
It is exactly 8:48 a.m. News and Views on Salam Media. We are talking to activist Fazela Mahomed. We're talking about the genocide in Palestine. Fazela, I do apologize. There was an interruption there. Do you just want to complete your train of thought there? I have one or two more questions before we wrap up.
I think if we can continue with the next question, it will be fine.
Perfect. Okay. I'm kind of wondering about the current invasion on Rafah. I mean, initially it was only supposedly getting rid of Hamas in Gaza, and now we're hearing that Rafah is being bombed. What's going to happen next? So your thoughts on that, and do you believe that the international community has to put their foot down and say enough is enough?
Yes, of course. I think that what we're seeing is a lot of double speak. You know, we saw the statement by Canada and New Zealand and Australia. We saw the US, Joe Biden, saying on the one hand that the bombing must stop, on the other hand, sending arms to Israel and aid to Israel. So actually, there's a lot of double speak. But, you know, what is really been heartening around this round of Palestinian solidarity is that millions and millions of ordinary people are horrified at the extent of the carnage. And I think it must end because, you know, the Israelis claim safe zones. So they are merciless, man. They go in and shoot people in hospitals, sniper shots, people trying to leave, people trying to get food. As you know, there's an extreme shortage of food and people have to go and forage for food. But they're not, you know, if they go there, they're at risk. And you see these heart-wrenching stories about people trying to find food and then are being killed. You know, yesterday I saw a gruesome thing of these children sitting around their mother. So I think that the Israelis have never intended, it wasn't only to get Hamas. It is clear that it is a policy of displacement and a policy to remove Palestinians from Gaza. And as you saw them push them further and further to the borders of Rafah, you know, and then in the hope, as you were saying, there's huge excavations happening in Egypt. And of course, their original agenda has always been to displace the mass of people in Gaza and to push them out. This is what you call ethnic cleansing, actually. And that's what they're doing in Gaza at the moment. But just to always be reminded that, you know, in the West Bank at the same time, so it's not a policy to get Hamas, because in the West Bank they've displaced many villages through the settlers, violence against people farming and living their everyday life, and these people are shot and killed, you know, all the time. And their villages, I think 3 or 4 villages in the last few months have also been overtaken by the settlers in the West Bank. So it continues.
Okay, then to wrap up then, when we look at the current situation, it's quite loaded, is it not? Because when we look at all of the atrocities being perpetrated on the Palestinian people, their land has been stolen. They are undergoing a genocide. Ethnic cleansing is happening in the process as well. and they're now thinking of settling them in Egypt, or possibly pushing them out into the Sinai Desert. Maybe that's the land the Egyptians are in fact preparing for them. We also know that the Israelis had offered the Egyptians vast sums of money to allow Palestinians to resettle in Egypt. But the Palestinians are the ones that refuse to go. They don't want to leave their land because they do know that they'll never be allowed to come back into the land. In closing, what do you believe is going to be the solution for the people of Palestine to regain all of their lost territory? And do you think that it is a possibility that they'd be able to live side by side with these people who have perpetrated the most horrendous atrocities on the people of Palestine?
Look, ultimately, even the Israelis, you see what's happening now. There's huge amounts of demonstrations in Israel. They also recognize that you can't force a people. This forcible evacuation is illegal, first of all. But as we know, nothing happens to Israel. And so I think that what needs to happen is for all of us to demand, I think the international voice has been very significant, and we need to move away. I think these hearings are important because they focus on the end to the occupation, because more and more it's becoming a permanent occupation. This is the longest occupation in the history, the longest military occupation in the history, and it's a brutal occupation. So the first stop must be an end to the occupation. And then, of course, you need to look at other demands before a kind of a settlement, a discussion on a settlement. But we also know that some of the brokers, like the Americans and other Western states, who are calling for a settlement and a two-state solution and deciding who will be the leaders for the people of Palestine, is really unacceptable. The Palestinian people have their own right to determine who their leaders will be and how they want to be led and what kind of country they want. It's not up to the Americans. And I think that more and more we need to make sure that we call for that demand, an end to the occupation and a settlement which is just for the Palestinian people and based on their own government of their choosing.
I did say that was the final question. I do need to put this to you as an activist. Your thoughts on young Jewish South Africans going to serve in Israel under the IDF. What do you believe our government stance should be on that matter?
Well, I think they should be prosecuted. I assisted, there's a group in Cape Town called Runners for Palestine. A few years ago, I think 2017, 2018, we tried to get a case, of a guy who was clearly serving in the IDF, the Foreign Military Assistance Act, which prohibits South Africans from participating in the armed conflict. When we took the matter to the police station, they didn't know what to do. They were not aware. And then we had to do a lot of interventions, try to petition people to make sure that the NPA take up the cause, because it was clear cut. This guy had been used as a poster boy for the Israeli army. He sent, it's very ironic that what happened was they used to fly the flags outside Parliament every Friday. And this chap used to fly the flag, the Israeli flag. And he then sent a scoffing email to the Palestinian supporters saying, "I'm killing your types here." So we had like written proof that he was there serving in the army. But nothing came of that case. I'm told that there was a need to amend the act. I'm not quite sure whether the act has been amended, because apparently the definitions are too broad and it's hard to prosecute. But I am hoping that the relevant authorities will do that. I'm pleased by the fact that the government has indicated it will prosecute. So I hope that there's a mechanism to allow for the prosecutions, because a lot of people, you go on Facebook, randomly you get information of people who serve and they post on Facebook happily. And I think that it's time to crack down on those people and to make sure that they don't. We are South Africans. We don't support conflict. We love freedom and justice. And that is our country's constitution, and it is our responsibility as citizens. So I think the government must act severely against those who serve in the Israeli army.
Fazela Mahomed, involved in the Palestinian solidarity. I do apologize for the interruption in the sound there, but thank you indeed for your insights. Loved talking with you. Keep up the great work. Till the next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Thank you very much.
It is exactly 8:56 a.m. We're going to go for a short break and then we will be watching a video clip. It runs for about 3 minutes and thereafter we'll be taking the news from our correspondent, Zai Jadwit.